It was a normal day just like any other day at work. Suddenly, Vincent yelled at the intern and told him to go get him a coffee in a really harsh way. Literally moments later, the intern was sitting there staring intensely at Vincent while he was working at his desk, and out of nowhere he smashed him over the head with his laptop. The employees immediately pulled the intern away and tried to calm things down, and Vincent was sent to the hospital to treat the wound on his head. After he came back, the manager said the pressure must have made the kid lose his temper, and that she couldn't assign anyone else to replace him. She also said complaints usually just get filed away and nothing comes out of them, but she asked Vincent if he wanted to talk to HR anyway. Honestly, Vincent just wanted to forget the whole thing. When he went back to his desk, he felt like everyone was staring at him, especially locking eyes with him. That night, Vincent went home and started looking for a girlfriend on a dating app. He also took a picture of his head wound and posted it on social media with some sad words so people would feel sorry for him and show sympathy. The next day at work, while he was sitting at his desk, a coworker suddenly grabbed his arm and started stabbing his forearm with a pen. Once again, people had to pull them apart. Vincent quickly moved away, and his coworker seemed to snap back to reality, still not fully aware of what he had just done. Later, the doctor put Vincent's arm in a brace, and he and the coworker who stabbed him went to HR to talk about what happened. They brought a video that another coworker had recorded on his phone. The coworker said he wasn't conscious and didn't remember anything that happened, and he started crying. The HR manager said it was just stress and too much work. Vincent didn't want to press charges, and the meeting ended with them reconciling. After that, another manager asked Vincent to work from home because it seemed like there was something about him that was making people angry. Before leaving, Vincent asked a coworker to check social media to see if anyone was saying bad things about him, but they didn't find anything. That night, he met the girl he had connected with on the app at a restaurant. Their conversation was nice and everything was going well, but Vincent couldn't stop himself from looking out the window because there was a homeless man staring at him and focusing on him intensely. Suddenly, the man started walking toward the restaurant, but when he tried to cross the street, a car hit him. Vincent was badly shaken and decided to leave the restaurant immediately. On his way back, he felt like everyone on the street was staring at him, like he was the only person they could see, so he had to take a cab to get home quickly. The next day, Vincent went out for a bike ride. At a traffic light, he noticed a woman in a car staring at him without looking away, and of course he was scared. Vincent ignored the red light and started pedaling as fast as he could, but the car kept chasing him. In the end, he accidentally fell off his bike, but he managed to get away from the street, and the car drove off without seeing him. When he got home, Vincent went online to look for news about strange violent incidents. He found tons of reports about people dissociating from reality, losing consciousness, and attacking everyone around them without any control. He also found many videos recorded on people's phones in sports stadiums and stores, just like what had happened to him. The next day, Vincent went to see a psychiatrist. Unfortunately, the doctor didn't believe his story about how the people who attack him have completely blank expressions on their faces. He suggested that Vincent might just be seeking some kind of attention that makes people notice him. Vincent went back home in a terrible mood and started gathering everything he had figured out so far, organizing it on a big board. The attacks always started with eye contact, so he needed to figure out how to stop that. He stepped out onto the balcony and greeted his neighbor. The neighbor politely greeted him back at first, but after they held eye contact for a few seconds, the neighbor's face changed and he started throwing things at Vincent. Vincent immediately ducked and hid. After waiting a few seconds, he looked again and saw that his neighbor seemed completely confused about what had just happened. Vincent wrote on the board that breaking eye contact also stops the attack. Later, a package Vincent had ordered online arrived, a taser, handcuffs, and pepper spray. He spent some time practicing his reaction speed with the taser in his hand. Now he felt like his body was protected. Vincent went out for a walk wearing something over his head to hide his face. When he returned to his building, the neighbor's kids saw him and, without any warning, immediately attacked him. Vincent tried to push them away without hurting them, but they kept lunging at him, and one of them even bit him. He finally shoved them to the ground to get them off him. At that moment, their mother saw what was happening and instantly accused him of hitting her children. At least she stopped the attack, which gave him the chance to run and hide inside his apartment. All the neighbors gathered at his door, and no one believed him when he said the kids had started it. Terrified, Vincent pushed furniture in front of the door to keep them from coming in. Eventually, the neighbors gave up and left. Vincent packed a bag with his essentials, covered his head to hide his face, and took a cab to his father's old countryside house where he had spent his childhood. When he arrived, he found out his father, Jim Bear, was living with a new girlfriend. He borrowed his dad's car and the keys to the family's rural house. But when he asked to stay there, Jim Bear told him his childhood bedroom was under renovation. His only options were to sleep on the couch or in the garage, where all his childhood belongings were stored in boxes. Feeling like an unwanted guest, Vincent decided to leave. Before going, he stopped by the garage and grabbed some things from his childhood, including a hammer for self-defense. After hours of driving, Vincent stopped at a supermarket to buy some food and sat down to eat at a table in a public park. Suddenly, a homeless man named Joaquin and his dog stood in front of him. Vincent thought Joaquin was going to attack him and tried to leave, but Joaquin told him to wait and said it was safe, that he shouldn't be afraid. Joaquin had seen him buying food and noticed how he avoided eye contact with everyone. He realized Vincent was like him. Vincent agreed to share his food, and Joaquin told him his story. This had started about 7 months ago, and it had gotten so bad that he had to quit his job as a college professor. He didn't know what was causing it, but he knew there were others like them talking to each other on online forums. Joaquin advised Vincent to join a forum called The Guardian's Blog, where people discuss ways to survive alone, because even going to a hospital could get them attacked. He explained that Joaquin wasn't his real name, it was just his username on the forum. Before leaving, he told Vincent to get a dog since a dog would never attack him and could warn him of danger. Later, Vincent stopped at a gas station to fill up the car. He felt like he needed to hide from other drivers. Unfortunately, a man pulled up next to him and got a good look at him. The man grabbed a shovel from his car and seemed ready to attack. Vincent quickly jumped into his car and sped off without paying for the gas. After driving all night, Vincent finally reached the countryside house. He unlocked the chains and doors, then used his laptop to search for the website Joaquin had mentioned. To post a comment, he had to create a new account. The site required him to delete all his social media accounts first. Without hesitation, Vincent deleted every old account and created a new one on the mysterious site under the username Dave17. A little later, Vincent ordered food online. When the delivery guy arrived, Vincent told him to leave the order outside by the gate and didn't pick it up until the guy had left. At that moment, his neighbor saw him and greeted him. She seemed kind, but her daughter's face looked strange, and the girl reached out her hand toward him. Vincent immediately ran back inside. He logged back onto the forum, found Joaquin's profile, and they started messaging privately. The next time Vincent went to the bathroom, he suddenly discovered the bathtub was clogged. He went outside to check the shared sewage cover with his neighbor and found that it was clogged too. Right then, a repairman the neighbor had called showed up. Vincent tried to avoid eye contact, but the man got angry and lunged at him. They fought briefly until the attacker threw Vincent onto a pile of trash, trying to beat him. Vincent managed to knock the man down as well, and they rolled around in the garbage until the man grabbed Vincent and started choking him. Vincent found a rock and smashed the man over the head until he died. He quickly washed the dirt off himself, put the body in the trunk of his car, and drove away. After getting far enough, he opened the trunk and realized the man was still alive. Vincent hesitated about letting him live, but the man attacked him again. In a burst of rage, Vincent killed him for good with the hammer. After dumping the body, he returned to his room, took a proper shower, found several wounds on his body, and stitched them up himself. The next day, Vincent went to an animal shelter to adopt a dog. All the dogs were barking, but there was one sweet dog that seemed like it was smiling at him. Vincent took him and named him Sultan. They went to the beach and played together for a while, but after some time a family showed up and started walking toward Vincent. Sultan immediately barked to warn him, and they both ran away. Back at home, Vincent took a picture with Sultan and the taser and sent it to Joaquin. In the middle of the night, he drove out to grab some fast food. He ordered on his phone and asked them to bring it out to his car, pretending he was disabled. Margot was the one who brought the order. She assumed the raw meat was for Sultan and called out to Vincent. When she asked about his disability, he admitted he had lied. Margot didn't get upset. She was actually glad to have an excuse to step outside and get some air away from the customers inside. Later at home, Vincent looked up Margot's social media profile and started developing feelings for her. The next day, he began training and watching self-defense videos. He heard his neighbors yelling outside and looked out the window to see a mother screaming at her kids in anger. Meanwhile, people on the forum were talking about locking down their houses tightly, and some were even hiding out in the mountains. Vincent decided to cover all his windows. He asked Joaquin if he had seen anyone in real life. Joaquin admitted he was married and had left his wife. He missed her but kept forcing himself not to go see her. That night, Vincent drove out and found the street blocked by police. He avoided eye contact, and an officer explained what had happened and told him to take another route. Luckily, he left without any trouble. He went back to the fast food place, and Margot brought his order again. At that moment, two men on motorcycles pulled up. Margot got scared, jumped into Vincent's car, and told him to drive. To return the favor, she asked him to stop at a bar so she could buy him a beer. She brought back 2 beers, and they started drinking. The bikers showed up and demanded money Margot owed them. When they saw her with Vincent, one of them hesitated, and Sultan started barking. Vincent used the taser and knocked one of them out. The other tried to attack him, but Vincent struck first and ran back into the car with Margot. Suddenly, Sultan began growling, and Margot lunged at Vincent and attacked him. He struggled to push her away while driving recklessly. After a few blows, she lost consciousness just in time to avoid a crash. Later, Margot woke up in a room inside Vincent's house with the door locked. Vincent asked her to close her eyes, then led her outside to the car and handcuffed her. They eventually reached a supermarket. Vincent got out to approach a man standing nearby, but the man panicked and drove off. Vincent went inside the store. Margot grew confused when she heard Sultan barking. Suddenly, Vincent ran out with a crowd chasing him and throwing things. He made it into the car before they could grab him, but people surrounded the vehicle and even smashed the windows. He started the engine and forced his way through, managing to escape. Margot finally understood what had happened the night before and believed him. They later arrived at her home, which turned out to be a boat she lived on. They drank, ate, and talked for hours until they became very close. That night, Margot wanted a cigarette, so Vincent went to the car to get some. His phone rang. It was Joaquin. He said he had recovered and that no one was attacking him anymore. He didn't know how or why, but the attacks had stopped. He wished Vincent luck and hung up to finally go see his wife. After that, Vincent and Margot smoked weed and fell asleep. In the middle of the night, Vincent woke up to Sultan barking and saw Margot attacking him. He hit her to knock her down and ran outside. A few minutes later, Margot called out to him, saying she wasn't angry that he defended himself. While he was tending to the wound he had caused her, she wondered if their relationship could actually work. Suddenly, Sultan started barking again. They heard a voice Margot recognized. It was the owner of a nearby boat. More voices echoed from a distance, so they decided to leave. They returned to town and were shocked to see a building on fire. When they got closer to check, they split up after finding a body. Vincent recognized it. It was his neighbor. They went behind the building to enter Vincent's house through the back door, away from the fire. There they found Jim Bear holding a gun, his face covered in wounds. It looked like a violent group had killed his girlfriend, and he was on the verge of collapse. Vincent managed to calm him down and get him to drop the gun, then hugged him until he settled. Jim Bear eventually fell asleep. Vincent then opened a message from Joaquin. Joaquin wrote that things hadn't improved with his wife and that it had broken him even more. He was saying goodbye before taking his own life. He also attached a map showing the locations of all the shelters he had created. Vincent was devastated. He tried calling him, but there was no answer, meaning Joaquin was gone. The next morning, they drove off. For safety reasons, Margot's hand and Jim Bear's hand were restrained. On the radio, they heard news reports about a wave of violence sweeping across the country, with a government official urging people to stay inside their homes. They soon found the road completely blocked with cars. Everyone was trying to escape at once. Vincent couldn't move forward or backward. People started losing their tempers, and chaos broke out in the streets. Jim Bear wanted revenge for his girlfriend. He freed himself and rushed into the chaos. Vincent ran after him to save him and saw people brutally killing each other. When he finally found his father, he saw that same blank expression on his face and prepared to defend himself, but Jim Bear attacked and killed the woman instead. Sultan stood beside Vincent, completely silent. That's when Vincent realized no one would attack him anymore. A huge crowd gathered, and Vincent tried to push through to find his father, but he couldn't locate him again. Meanwhile, Margot saw a man killing someone on the trunk of Vincent's car. She found the key to the handcuffs, freed herself, and ran after Vincent. He refused to leave without Jim Bear, but Margot told him they would die if they stayed. So they ran off the main road and into a path through the forest. After hours of walking, Vincent's face turned blank too. He attacked Margot. She fought back and managed to cover his eyes with something, forcing him to stop. Shattered, Vincent let her blindfold him with a piece of cloth before they continued walking. When they reached town again, they saw snipers on rooftops firing into the air to scare people away. While running, they found an abandoned car. Margot pulled the driver's body out, took the car, and drove back toward the river. There, she removed Vincent's blindfold and said goodbye, planning to return to her boat. After a moment of thought, Vincent and Sultan climbed aboard with her, and the three of them sailed away together. Margot blindfolded Vincent again and handcuffed him for safety, but she also hugged him. They promised each other they would start a new life together. And that's how the film ends. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.